Good evening and welcome to tonight's Common Council meeting for Tuesday, April 27th. Clerk will call the roll, please.
Odeker. Present. Hanson.
Present.
Matsdorf.
Here.
Gilson.
Here.
Hildebrand.
Here.
Wilson.
Here.
Shelsky.
Here.
Nelson.
Here.
Let the record show we have a quorum. Next to the pledge, please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening and welcome. The next item is the audience portion where we ask people to sign up and be recognized by the chair, where you do the talking and we do the listening. Tonight, nobody signed up, but we certainly encourage people to sign up and tell us what's on their mind. Moving forward, item 4 is the citizen committee appointments, and there's a variety of them. The first, A, B, and C are appointments by the mayor and do not require council approval. The last group, A through F, are mayor appointments which require council approval. We'll do them in 2 batches. The first being the mayor's appointment, A through C. The mayor hereby appoints for the Board of Review Carol O'Malley for a 1-year term. Item B, Police and Fire Commission, a 5-year term, Warren Weiser. And item C, Plan Commission, 3-year term, David Wilson and Jeremy Schellen. I appreciate those citizens stepping forward and participating in these very important committees in the city. Moving on to the second group, which requires the council approval, I'll ask that you approve the entire slate after I announce it.
Mayor Cohen, we can't do the entire slate, but go on.
Okay, that's fine. We'll do item A. The mayor hereby appoints Board of Appeals, a 3-year term, Carol O'Malley. The chair will entertain a motion to approve.
So moved, Nelson. Second, Nelson.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Appointment confirmed. Moving on to item B. Library Board, 3-year term, Sarah Bright and Barbara McKnight. Chair will entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second. Odeker.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Item C, Park Committee, 5-year term, Katie Schroeder and Mark Melcher.
Mayor Cohen, if I might.
Alder Hansen.
Mark Melcher is going to be going on for his 3rd term of 5 years. So we have to suspend the rules in order for him to do that. That's why I said we can't do them all in one lump. Otherwise, we're not doing it properly. I'm not sure about the rest of them. If they're-
Do you want to make a motion to suspend the rules and appoint Mark Melcher?
Yes, I move to suspend the rules of the term limit and put Mark Melcher on another term.
Thank you. Do we have a motion for Katie Schroeder?
That needs a second, Mayor.
I'll second.
And it has to be voted on by itself, to suspend the rules. That's why we couldn't do them all in lump sum.
We have a first and a second for Mark Melcher. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
It needs a 2/3 vote. We probably should have a
The
vote.
ayes have it. Thank you.
I call it what is it, David? That means we have to have a voice vote.
Can we call on Crystal to make a comment on what Charlie's saying?
All hands.
Let's just have the roll call vote. That's fine.
All right,
Clerk will call the roll, please, on Mark Melcher.
Nelson,
Yes.
Hildebrand,
Yes.
Matsdorf,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Odekirk. Yes. Hanson,
Yes.
Shilsky,
Yes.
Gilson.
Yes.
Motion carried, thank you. Now back to Park Committee 5-year term, Katie Schroeder. Do we have a motion?
So moved. Over Hanson.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, thank you. Revolving Loan Committee, 3-year term, Terry Ambler, Mel Blanke, Scott Flood, and Gary Kramer. The chair will entertain a motion.
I would have to approve Henry, Mel, Scott, and Gary for the revolving loan committee.
Do we have a second?
Second, Odekirk.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, thank you. Room Tax Commission, 1-year term, Dan Buckman and Mary Hauser. Chair will entertain a motion.
So motion. Chelsea.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. And finally, F, Housing Authority, 5-year term, Linda Opitz. Chair will entertain a motion.
So moved, Walter Nelson, to approve Linda Opitz.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. We still have a couple committee appointments open for the public. If they're interested, please give the clerk's office a call and we can go through that list and certainly see if you have any interest and help you determine whether or not you feel that that would be of interest to you. Moving on to item 5, introduction of the new children's librarian, and I'll call on our library director, Leslie, to make the introductions, please.
Yep. Good evening, everyone. I'm Leslie Yachman, the Library Director at the Plymouth Public Library. It's my pleasure to introduce to you tonight Sam Spodek, our new Youth Services Librarian. We're kind of, putting her right there in it with summer reading program, and she is doing great. So I'm just going to pass it off to let her tell a little bit about herself, and so thank you.
Now, did you warn her that she only has 3 minutes?
I did not, so keep it brief.
Okay, sounds
I
good.
am from the Milwaukee area. I'm not sure if any of you are familiar with Hales Corners. That's where I grew up. I've worked and volunteered in libraries for about 15 years now. So I'm really excited to be here and be a part of the city of Plymouth and also get to know the community and work with the children and families. So.
We hope you like it here. Moving on to item 6, approval of the consent agenda. The chair will entertain a motion to approve.
I move we approve the consent agenda. Wilson?
Second, Odekirk.
We have a first and a second to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion?
I'd like item 8 taken off.
Item, which one?
Item 8, minutes.
Item A? Okay, thank you. Any other comments? Clerk will call the roll on approving the consent agenda, excluding item A. We'll address that in the next agenda, item number 7.
Hanson,
Yes.
Mansdorf,
Yes.
Shilsky,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Gilson, Nelson,
Yes.
Odekirk. Yes. Hildebrand.
Yes.
Motion carried, thank you. Moving on to item 7, items removed from the consent agenda. We have item A from above, approved minutes of the meeting held Tuesday, April 20th, 2021, moved by Alder Hansen for further discussion. The chair will ask Alder Hansen to address the council of your concerns or discussion points.
Well, I have a couple of questions, and I do want to compliment Alder Hildebrand if I could for being the president, so I wanted to, mention that to him. The question that I have is that, and he's also on the plan commission, he's also on the joint review commission, that's where the question comes up. The council president is on the board of review, is that correct?
Correct.
Yes?
Yes.
So is the Joint Review Commission the same thing?
And Mayor, I can speak to that. No,
Go ahead,
Oh,
Attorney.
it's not the same? Okay,
There is an extraterritorial joint review commission of the city when certain properties in the town are looking at zoning decisions or land use decisions.
so we need an alder person for the board of review besides the council president, is that correct?
That would be correct.
So do we have one?
That has not been appointed yet, no.
Because we have it coming up in May, so that needs to be done, otherwise that's an important committee. So we need to get that done. If we have to have 2 alder persons on there, one being the president and one being another alder, we need to get that taken care of before the board review meeting, correct?
That would be correct.
Okay, that was my.
And we can put that on the next agenda.
So just make sure it's done, because I don't want it to, you have the board review, and then you really can't have a board review without having the proper personnel. Okay. And I believe that was my question. So I move approval of that. Am I here? Of the minutes, because that was the question of it. So they're printed appropriately. I thought the joint review commission and the board review are the same thing. That was but they're not. So.
No, they're not.
Okay, good.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion on the item removed from the consent agenda, which was the approval of the minutes of the meeting held Tuesday, April 2021? Clerk will call the roll.
Hildebrand,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Mansdorf,
Yes.
Odekirk. Yes. Gilson,
Yes.
Shilsky,
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Moving on to item 8, resolution number 2 of 2021, World Migratory Bird Day. This proclamation, you have a copy of it, and the proclamation, we won't read it in its entirety tonight. It is on file in the clerk's office, and this suffices to say that we participated in similar things in the past. Plymouth is also a bird city for quite a few years and a tree city. So we're continuing that tradition in the city, and basically the World Migratory Bird Day resolution supports all those endeavors. The chair will entertain a motion to approve.
I move that we approve the World Migratory Bird Day resolution.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank Moving on to new business number 9, approved contract with MuniCode for developing new website. Tonight we have our IT manager, Dave Augustine, here to give us a brief summary. Dave?
Evening, Council. MuniCode contract. MuniCode is a company we wish to partner with to help us develop our website so it is more functional for the public. So nowadays, citizens, people, they want to go to a website, they want to get your business done and get out instead of the traveling back and forth. The tools we use right now really do not lend us to those capabilities. We did do some comparison and we had it down to 2 companies, MuniCode and Civic Plus. And we decided to go with MuniCode because of the price difference. Okay? We do have a team formed already, and that is Jordan, Skiff, Kathy, our city engineer, Austin, Hannah, city clerk, Chris Ringo from the police department, and myself. And how we want to go about it is, there's different categories we're going to go by. In the overall design, we want a nice, consistent look across the city, which, this website will be the city, utilities, police department, all the branches we want to bring together so it's a uniform look. We also are doing this to help start our paperless process, meaning packets, agendas, minutes online, in a secure manner for, what we need to do as well as for the public, easy to search and look at and look up. Notifications. Another key feature is notifications where we can send out notifications to the public. And it could be anywhere from this event to, hey, we have an outage at utilities, as well as allowing the citizens to subscribe to notifications. So let's say Anna puts the agenda out, whoever wants to know about it will get notified via that method, if there's any changes. Forms, we have unlimited forms where we can do our permits, our licensing, whatever we want to do, and then tie a workflow to that. So let's say somebody wants to report a pothole or a tree down or whatever, it can get put on the site and routed to the correct spot so it doesn't fall through the cracks. Reservations, we also are going to look at the reservation system so people can reserve our facilities online and obviously e-commerce. So those are the categories we'll work towards. MuniCode, based out of Florida, but they have references they gave us, like here in Wisconsin, they use Cuba City, Waterford, Waupun, and Lafayette County, all in Wisconsin, use MuniCode, and then, we have our neighbors, Escanaba, Michigan, White Bear Lake, Minnesota, so they know this stuff. They're geared specifically towards municipal entities. The project will consist of a website design where they will take our existing website, convert it into the new format, the new system. The content migration, they'll provide us training, as well as then take over hosting. So they will be hosting it, so they will provide all the updates, all the security measures, certificates, encryption, as well as support for us. So that's what their role is, as well as providing the ADA compliant signage in the basic structure, so it's all ADA compliant. As I said, some of the standard features that we have taking advantage of is it's a device-friendly site. It'll work with a cell phone, tablet, Chromebook, PC, whatever, laptop, and adjust accordingly, so you won't have to scroll all around back and forth, which is kind of nice. Our social media integration, we'll be able to build sub-sites as well as internal sites. So there might be some stuff we want to put online internally, like certain forums, request forms, or whichever, of content instead of searching all over the network or having 5 copies of it. That's another thing this will provide for us. You put it in one spot and you can share it all around within the site. Mentioned that. We'll have unlimited fillable forms. We can design emergency alerts and an event calendar. And with the event calendar and content, we also have starting and ending dates. So content will fall off after a certain time that we say, so we won't have old content or static content out for the public. As well as it's secure and email and facility type reservations. So those are the key points to the functionality of the site and what it will give us. The project in general, it's going to take 3 to 4 months, and that's for a standard design. And the nice thing with this is, our standard design, once we get up and running, we can still add onto it and build onto it if we want to have other features, other modules if we want to take advantage of. The price, which is to the second last and last pages, we're proposing to total cost, which includes the upfront design, services, getting things configured, as well as the first year of hosting. The total first year cost is $13,000. After that, the yearly hosting fee is $4,300, and that includes, as you can see, anything, the storage, the notifications, the maintenance, the security, any upgrades, 24/7 support, the whole enchilada, so to speak. The tool we use currently is called WordPress. It's done the job for what we've done, but it has its limitations as well as security risks because it's what you call open source, which leaves it open to hackers, which we did have a problem with in the past that we got corrected. But this is a secure, solid foundation that we're proposing to go. And that's my story. I'm sticking to it.
Thank you very much. You can hang loose, Dave, and as we get into the discussion, if any of the alders have questions, you can chime in.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Item A, approved contract with Unicode for the developing new website as described by our IT manager. The chair will entertain a motion so we can discuss.
Motion to approve.
Second, Oliver.
We have a first and a second. Any questions, concerns? And certainly the chair will allow alders to question Dave directly since he's here and he's the expert on this. I think that would be a wise thing, so thank you for coming. Alder Nelson?
I think one of the frustrations I've had, and I know some of the constituents have had, is that we try to go on to find a contact for an alder person or staff. I mean, that's really a critical need. I would kind of like to see a profile of any of the alder persons, managers, supervisors through the city, and then their contact information if that's possible.
That is definitely part of this design, and that's where I mentioned before, the one, post it one place and then search, where when you search, it will search everything and give you the results of everywhere where this is found, so to speak, and then you'll be able to go right to it. So definitely. The other thing I did not, and I should have mentioned, is the goal is to have, the whole umbrella, and then each department, as their site develops, let's say police, for their content, then Chris, Deputy Chief Ringel, would be in charge of putting the content out there instead of having a funnel and then a bottleneck. Utilities, the electrical or whomever department, City Hall, Anna can post her stuff, as far as that goes, so we'll get more rapid content put out there. The other thing nice is when you do a search, it'll hit wherever it finds it, as well as anything in the dockets and the minutes and agendas, anything like that will also come up on the search as part of the demos they show us, so yes.
Alder Hanson?
Will, I have a couple questions for you. Will, if I put in there that I wanted to find an alder's name and there's 2 Johnsons, will it bring everything about Johnson, so I have to get this out of the way to find about the Alder Johnson, or would it be specific to that particular thing? You said it pops up every name that comes
Yep.
up, and it's like, that can be frustrating, because I just want to get a certain thing.
Right. There too, you may have to refine your search a little bit. So depending upon how it is, you might have to go like Alder Johnson or Johnson, comma, the name, or however it's in there, what you're looking for. Just like when you do a search on Google or wherever, you know how you have to refine your searches a little bit. You will probably have to do that.
Okay. I find that frustrating on Google or whatever, but it makes sense. One of the things when we go virtual as an alder, and we're on the TV part about it, I want to see the agenda. So how can we see the agenda and, communicate? Is that something that's done someplace? You know what I'm saying? So I'm virtual someplace and I can see all the elders on the screen, but now we go to the next item on the agenda and it's like, or the information that's sent to us on it, how do I get that? So I find myself having the phone with the agenda on it, and then I have the Chrome with the stuff on it. So how does that take?
And if I can jump in there, Alder Hanson, just my intent at this point, while Dave is absolutely right in saying this gives us the option of going with paperless agendas and things like that. I've heard from a number of board members and other, non-alders who are concerned about just their having to do that very thing or to just be completely reliant on a device. And of course, many of them don't have city devices, so I think my intent is to provide electronic versions as an option for people, but not to require it. And so if you knew, for example, that you were going to be out of town and you wanted us to provide you with a paper copy of that packet so that you could look at that and be on the screen for the actual meeting, that's an option. If you want to have, one screen where you're, on the screen and then, like you say, your phone has the agenda, of course, if you're comfortable with that, that's up to you. And some people are just comfortable with all of it being on one screen. So I don't intend to have it be, once we go with the paperless option, that the paper option is just off the table entirely. So hopefully we'll give people an opportunity to tell us what they'd like, and we're happy to provide that.
Okay, 'cause I did find when I was away, I had 2 units up, and it crashed the site that I was at. It couldn't take all the...
Right.
And that's not your concern, but that was... Yep. So that was a concern when you're away, that you follow along with particular items.
Yep. Some of that is also limitations to the device that's being used or the connection that you have in the remote location as well. So there's quite a few factors that come into play, but that is something we can research to see a better way to do it.
And then one more question about it. This is a 1-year contract, or is it covered for 4 years?
What they did is if for 4 years, they broke it apart for a payment plan if you wanted. After 4 years, they will come in and do a reevaluation, see if we want to do a redesign or just to take a look at what we're doing. As far as that goes, but the $8,000, that's the upfront one-time cost, and then it's $4,300 after a year to have the hosting.
Cool. So we're going to do that for how many years? Is this...
This will be our platform until we decide to go with something else, so we'll pay provided you approve, it'll be the upfront investment and then the $4,300 after until we want to keep going or find something else or status quo.
Thank you.
Or until we all retire.
Alder Gilson.
I'm wondering how often this is updated.
Are you referring to the content or the actual site structure and security?
All the information that's on there. Who updates that and how often does that happen?
Right now, it's pretty much updated through one person, which is Connie Williamson down at Utilities. She gets the request from everybody who does that, so when she has time to do it, that's when it gets updated. And now with the new way, each of the people, as they follow up for each of the areas who are responsible for their part of the site. It'll be done as soon as they hit the button and apply it, they push, it's going to be live. So
Yes,
it will be
Wilson.
go ahead, sorry.
If I can just mention that, and you've noticed this, Alder Wilson, that we have a lot of outdated information on our current website. And one of the things that Dave told me earlier this week is that we can't just go delete things. We basically replace current content with updated content, and if we really don't have new content, the old content just stays. And so that's one of my biggest frustrations looking at this website, our current website, and I'm really looking forward to this upgrade for that reason. And maybe you are too. Certainly that's one thing you noticed, and that will be better, not just in that, like you said, things will fall off as they kind of become outdated or stale, and then representatives from each department will have the ability to update their information so it'll stay much, much fresher. Did I capture that accurately?
Yep.
Alderman Master, you had a
That
question?
was the question I had, was whether in-house we could edit content just so we don't always have to make a request and wait a week before it actually gets uploaded, especially like event calendars and that kind of stuff.
Any other questions? I think certainly it sounds like a good step forward, and like everything, we'll have to try it and tweak it and get used to it. But yeah, it'll be an improvement. Good, thank you.
Okay.
I do have one last question.
Go ahead.
Was this in the budget for this year? This expense, do you know?
The upfront costs were budgeted, I think, about 2 years ago, and so we're in decent shape for that upfront cost, and then the 4,300 we'll just have to fund for the ongoing.
Next year's budget?
Exactly.
Okay.
Good, thank you. We have a first and a second. We've had discussion. Any other questions? Clerk will call the roll.
Gilson,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Odekirk. Yes. Hildebrand.
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.
Matsdorf.
Yes.
Schultze.
Yes.
Wilson.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Thank you, Dave. Appreciate that. Moving on to item B, approved contract with Bay Lakes RPC for comprehensive plan. We'll put this one on our city administrator's shoulders, and you can, as we move forward on this, you can tell us what the design is and the timeline.
Okay, sounds good. And I don't plan to spend a lot of time on this at our March 30th meeting. You may remember that I introduced this idea for both the comprehensive plan as well as downtown design guide. You were overall in favor of moving forward with the comprehensive plan especially. So Bay Lakes, and that's Regional Planning Commission, provided us a contract to go along with the quote that they had already provided. And so, again, that cost would be $31,300 as a lump sum. So it's not time and materials or anything like that. If you have questions, there is a March 25th memo that goes into some of the detail of what the new comprehensive plan has for categories. Bay Lakes, their contract, as you could see in your attachment, is that they plan to start in July, assuming that this proceeds tonight. And then it will take basically a year and a half to complete this process. We will be working with them to devise a plan for public outreach, for involving you, for involving the Plan Commission, the RDA, other groups. And I think this will be a really, really neat opportunity for us as a community to weigh in on what we want the future of our community to be like in many areas. Alder Nelson, just tonight you mentioned housing concerns. We've certainly talked about the dam, we've talked about transportation issues. All of those things and many more will be covered by this, so I think it'll be a great opportunity. Bay Lake's price is toward the lower end of the range that they told us to anticipate, so I feel good about that. $50,000 was budgeted for this, and so we're in good shape there. So I certainly recommend approval of contracting with them.
Thank you, Administrator. Yep. Chair will entertain a motion so we can discuss.
I move to approve the contract with Bay Lake. Wilson?
Second, Odekirk.
We have a first and a second to approve the comprehensive plan with Bay Lakes for a total of $31,300. Any discussion? All in favor?
Is this, will this plan also include the library? Or I had a question about it at the last meeting.
Well, one nice thing is that we as a community can include anything in it that we think is important. I do not believe that the library as a standalone topic is one of the, you might be familiar that the smart growth law from the state includes certain categories that are required to be part of that. I'll just read that list real quick just in case people are asking or curious. So issues and opportunities, housing, transportation, utilities and community facilities, agriculture, natural and cultural resources, economic development, intergovernmental cooperation, and land use. But that first one, issues and opportunities, I think is very broad, and we as a community can identify what we think those issues and opportunities are. Also, intergovernmental cooperation can be part of that, as the library is part of a broader network as well. So I think we can have the libraries involved in this as we choose to.
Yeah.
Does that help?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Any other questions? I think it's been going on 10 years since we've had the comprehensive plan updated, which is required.
Exactly.
And that's why we put it in the budget. So, you know, this is something we can do more often than 10 years, but at 10 years it's mandatory. And it came in under bid, so I guess that's a good thing. So, okay, any other questions? Clerk will call the roll, please.
Wilson.
For the contract of $31,300.
Shilsky.
Yes.
Matsdorf.
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.
Hildebrand.
Yes.
Gilson.
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
Odegaard.
Yes.
Motion carried, thank you. We have tonight Chief Telschek in the house to give us a summary, and the next three items, C, D, and E, pertain to the fire department, and I'll ask Chief to simply address all three kind of combined.
Sure, that's fine.
If that's okay, and we can ask particular questions on each one. Unless there's an objection, the chair would like to approve all of them as one motion, and then Chief can comment on each one individually or as a group as needed.
I can take them one at a time if you want. Majority of the council members were here at the finance and personnel, but I can be brief about it and answer most
Why don't you hit the highlights on all three?
All right. I will do that, thank you. First one is the first item on the agenda, hourly increase for fire department officer for contract events. Basically, we're asking for an additional $5 per hour for the supervisory officers, which are acting lieutenants, captains, and assistant fire chiefs. Their normal rate for these events would EMT, they're providing medical service, EMT advanced. The reason we're asking for this additional $5 an hour, they still have supervisory duties while they're at these functions. They're still acting lieutenant, captain, and assistant fire chief. The cost of the event will more than cover the cost of the additional $5. No additional cost to the city. The next item on the agenda is our QuantaFit respirator fit testing system for our SCBA masks. The one we have now isn't working. It's not, the manufacturer no longer supports it. Back in last budget cycle, back in June, July, and August, we did not recognize this or didn't identify this. That's why this was not a budgeted item. The cost or the quote we have for this is $7,645. That would have to come out of the city's contingency fund. This is this QuantaFit respirator testing system. Make sure that these SCBAs are working properly for when firefighters are using the breathing to go into buildings and different active fires and things like that. The third item is an increase on call pay for the officers handling a 12-hour on-call. This will be due to the fact that Chief Fellows is retiring on May 21st. Monday through Friday is the chief's responsibility to be on call, handling, answering the radio, being the supervisory officer. That's a 12-hour shift from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., excluding holidays. Just during this time, we're asking that the increase, right now currently, an officer on call gets, for 12-hour shifts, gets 1 hour of their normal pay. We're asking for 2 additional hours, or a total of 3 hours, just during this time period, Monday through Friday, during this 12-hour shift while this would end once the city hires a new fire chief. Any questions on any of the 3 items? I kind of raced through them, but you probably appreciate that.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
With that, the chair will read each one and then ask for a motion on all 3 from Finance Chair Nelson, and then we'll ask for a second. Item C, approve fire department hourly wage increase for supervisory officers while working contract events. Item D, approve 8,000 purchase of Quantum 2 respirator fit testing system from the contingency fund. And the last one, approve fire department increase in daily 12-hour on-call pay during fire chief vacancy. Chief Tauschek briefly talked about each of those, and we'll open it up for discussion after we have a motion by Finance Chair Nelson.
I move that we approve these 3 items for the fire department.
Second, Hildebrand.
We have a first and a second to approve as indicated. Any discussion or questions of Chief Tauschek or anybody in general? Alder Hanson.
Mayor Cohen, do we need to put specifically the dollar amounts in this motion? Or do we, because it says 8,000, but it's 76.45. Is that, do we need to put specific dollar amounts or not?
Well, we're asking for the approval of the 8,000, so that would be part of the motion, yes.
So it's going to be 8,000 instead of the 7,645, is that?
Well, you're approving the 8,000, but we'll only spend,
Right, normally in the past, we've done a not to exceed. The bid, which came in February, was $7,645. I don't expect that to change at all, but they would honor that.
Okay, that's, because sometimes we do it specifically.
We could say not to exceed if that would be a better comfort.
I just want to,
Okay. Any other, just Alder Hanson?
One other question for the chief. My understanding is that on weekends, what are your hours on weekends?
What are my hours on weekends?
Yes. What's your time slot? 12 hours on weekends you?
I don't do weekends for call.
The other officers handle calls.
Oh, okay.
Yep. They do the weekends, and the fire chief's duties, the on-call to answer the radio, be available, end at 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. If there's a fire or something, and the fire chief's here normally, he'll respond. I respond to some of them. From 6 p.m. to 6 a.m., one of the other officers take call, and then on the weekend, the other group of officers, Saturdays, Sundays, and holidays, and 12-hour shifts will take calls. So, fire chief is responsible Monday through Friday, excluding a holiday, and a rare instance, if nobody's available, he will take call on that weekend. And that's all part of his salary duties.
Well, that was my point. He puts a lot of hours in, 12 hours on call, 5 days a week, and then other
do
places.
respond for calls 24/7 when I'm available.
So that's, I wanted to thank you for that as my point on that. So.
Any other questions? Clerk will call the roll, please.
Gilson.
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
Odeker. Yes. Hildebrand.
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.
Matsdorf.
Yes.
Shilsky.
Yes.
Wilson.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
At this point, item 10, entertain a motion to go into closed session for the following. I'll read them both together and we'll entertain one motion for going into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statute 19.85 paren 1 paren G, conferring with legal counsel for the government body who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which it is or is likely to become involved regarding the claim from Jake Rowe and claim from Midpoint Machine LLC, and pursuant to Wisconsin statute 19.85 paren 1 paren C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee for which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility, qualifications, and salary of city clerk. The chair will entertain a motion to go into closed session.
I move to go into closed session. Wilson?
Second.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion? Clerk will call the roll for closed session. You can't escape yet.
Wilson,
Yes.
Shilsky,
Yes.
Matstar,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Hildebrand,
Yes.
Bodekert, Nelson,
Yes.
Gilson.
Yes.
Roll. Okay.
Recording again.
Gary's good. Okay. For the record, let the record show that we're now back in open session and moving on to item 12, discussion and possible actions on closed session items. I'll call on Council President Greg Hildebrand to make a motion, and then we'll ask for a second.
Item A, I would like denied claims for both Jack Rowe and Midpoint Machine LLC. And item B, I would like to make a motion for Anna Voigt for city clerk, deputy treasurer, with a salary of $50,000. That position would be effective with Charter Ordinance number 1.
Thank you.
May I suggest we just separate Council President Hildebrand's motions for the two?
Right, we'll vote on them separately. So we'll do the first motion for the denial of the claim. So we'll ask for a second on the first part of that, motion 1, for the denying the claim. So we need a second on that.
Second motion.
Okay, thank you. We have a first and a second. Any discussion on motion 1 for denying of the claim? Clerk will call the roll, please.
Bodekert, yes. Hildebrand,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Gilson,
Yes.
Shilsky,
Yes.
Matstar,
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
Motion carried, thank you. And the second motion, as indicated for the position for city clerk, deputy treasurer, Anna Voigt, for a salary of $50,000. We need a second on that.
Second, Alder Hanson.
We have a second. Any discussion? Clerk will call the roll on the second motion, please.
Hildebrand,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Gilson,
Yes.
Shilsky,
Yes.
Matstar,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Bodekert, yes.
Motion carried, thank you. Thank you all for a long evening, we appreciate it. Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn until Tuesday, May 11th at 7 o'clock.
I move to adjourn.
Second, Bodekert.
We have a first and a second, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?